Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. Oh my God, so much stuff happening right now, right? It's wild. So let's talk about it. I think this is the first stream I've done that in like a few weeks that was actually on time on the right day, because last week I had to stream on Tuesday. Anyway, let's talk about the Epstein files. All right, let me just open this. Okay, good. So a bunch of Epstein files leaked. Not leaked, I'm sorry, were released by the Department of Justice, and there were some really wild revelations in there. I've been researching Epstein for the past few days, trying to understand just how bad everything was. Buckle up. First thing I've learned of value, Elon Musk is pathetic. God, hold on, let me find the right. Wait a minute. Okay. Just give this a read. This article here on Elon Musk's interactions with Jeffrey Epstein. He said he would not need the help of a creepy loser like Jeffrey Epstein to party with young women if he wanted to. Great. Brag that you could get young girls in bed if you want. Fantastic. Yeah, you're winning, Elon. In the latest of a string of denials made since he was linked to the disgraced financier on Friday, the SpaceX Tesla owner said he was too dumb to know Epstein was offering him girls. Mr. Musk was responding to the disclosure of an email exchange that revealed he asked to attend the wildest party on his island in 2012. It was one of millions of Epstein files being made public on Friday. In an email written 3 years after Epstein was released from jail for soliciting a minor, the Tesla boss wrote, "Hi, Jeff. I was thinking of flying down for an epic vacation. Blank told me you were planning a party. Girls for the win." In another message from November 25th, 2012, he asks, "What day or night will be the wildest party on your island?" Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. We're just talking about Epstein. Okay.
Yeah, I figured based on the island thing. Hi, guys.
Al Forcer says hello and then goodbye. Epstein asked Mr. Musk if he had plans for New York, telling him the opening of the General Assembly has many interesting people coming to the House. Mr. Musk responds, "Flying to New York to see UN diplomats do nothing would be an unwise use of time." Okay, he doesn't want to like get to know Epstein, which is obviously like what Epstein was saying, right? He was like, "Come, hang out with me, get to know me, then I will give you my underage sex slaves for your use if we get there." I read this book basically on Epstein and how the whole operation worked. And here's what he did. He would send people to the local schools nearby to find girls who were emotionally vulnerable, who were in a bad home life situation, who were even homeless, some undocumented immigrant girls. They'd hang around the school and find the most vulnerable ones, and they'd bring them back to Epstein. Epstein would have Ghislaine Maxwell groom them by doing things like getting naked in front of them. Like Ghislaine Maxwell would get naked in front of them because she's less threatening. She's another woman, things like that. And she would normalize being naked. And then Jeffrey Epstein would walk around in a towel. And Ghislaine Maxwell would be naked. And then Jeffrey Epstein would take the towel off. And now you're with a couple of nudists. And it's just normal for you to take your clothes off, that kind of thing. And he continued pushing the boundaries and taking advantage of these girls' naivete, their young, inexperienced minds and emotions, and he would convince them that he cared about them. And some of them even refused to testify against him because they said they're in love with him. I'm talking 13 years old, okay? Children, literal children. And when he finally did what he did with one of them, he would say, "Here's $300 for you, and here's $200 And here's 200 more that you can have if you bring me another girl that you know. So in Palm Beach, Florida area, it was well known that you could give old men massages for $300 each. And the girl who would bring them in, the recruiters, would get $200 per girl. We're talking 60 victims that we know about, whose names we know. This was a massive ring that he ran, like literally hundreds. And he wasn't the only one doing it to them. If somebody in his neighborhood got suspicious, he would send one of the girls over who was in love with him to this person's house to get with the dude who was asking questions or whatever, to dirty him up so that he was now guilty too and he couldn't report on him. If somebody did come after him, which, you know, many of these girls, dozens, went to the police after because they weren't comfortable with what was happening, a lot of them. They go to the police. Jeffrey Epstein hires private investigators to harass them, to go through their trash, to follow them around, literally follow them. Like, they get in a car, private investigator around the block comes driving along and takes every single turn that they take. He wanted them to know they were being followed. He would harass them relentlessly. He even, I'm not sure if he actually did this or if it's something he was just talking about doing, but he planned to emancipate them from their parents, like have them basically live in his mansion. And some did live in his mansion with him. There's an undocumented girl who kept a teddy bear by her bed because it reminded her of her childhood. 13 years old. Reminded her of her childhood. And to make things even worse than that, it was known the entire time. He's been doing this since the 80s. Everybody knew. Everybody. Including Donald Trump. Let me just find that. 1 second. Hold on. Wait. Let me find this one thing. Oop. Can't hear you. What? Okay. All right. Trump said, quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy," Trump said. "He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life." That was October 28th, 2002. That was 6 years before he was charged with sex trafficking or whatever it was. 2002. He knew. They all knew. Here's another one. Check this one out. This is Cindy McCain, widow of Senator John McCain. This is in 2020.
It hides in plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, no legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him. All of a sudden, someone said, BS, we're not afraid of you anymore, and what you're doing is not only wrong, it's illegal, it's, all those things. It's going to start tumbling, believe me. And these guys, if they don't leave the country, number one, they're going to get caught, and they're going and they, not only will they get caught, but they're going to be made examples of. But Epstein's a chicken shit for doing what he did.
They knew. They all knew. And in 2012, not only after Epstein was charged, not only after Donald Trump said he likes him on the young side, Elon Musk said, "I want the wildest party. Take me to the wildest party. Girls for the win." I think it's pretty clear what he was thinking about, right? And Epstein says, why don't you come to my house, meet me, hang out with me? And Elon Musk was too fucking brain dead, too fucking stupid to get what he was trying to communicate. But the real headline here is Elon Musk is too dorky for the pedophile club. Elon Musk is too cringy and insufferable for the pedophile club. And by the way, that's not just me saying that. That's Epstein saying that, okay? Hold on, let me find this one. Wait, 1 second. Plural. Epstein was going to Paris with Woody Allen, and he sent an email. Woody Allen sitting. Hang on. Woody Allen said, for Les Pedophile Convention in Paris, because LES, French. And Epstein replies, I think pedophile is the plural. Pedophilee. He knew what he was. He knew what he was, okay? The point is, he was a scumbag, and everybody knew that he was a scumbag, including him. And I don't know if you guys remember this one, but Megyn Kelly came out here and defended his ass, like Epstein.
This person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls.
That's not barely legal. That's illegal. And it wasn't 15. It was 13. She's whitewashing this. Dude was with prepubescent children, okay? Oh, yeah. And he also, I read through some of this, he freaked out when somebody brought a black girl. He refused to bring N-words into the sex trafficking ring. These are his words.
And I realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts.
That is obviously exactly what she's doing.
That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked the very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they were, but would look legal to a passerby.
No, that's a flat out fucking lie.
And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged, forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse material on his computer, that for the first time I thought, oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? We've known this for a very long time. Since at least 2008, it's been a matter of public record. But even before that, we have things like Donald Trump saying he likes him on the younger side and stuff. Everybody knew this. And it got blown completely out of the water in 2017 by, I believe, Julia K. Brown, who is a reporter for the Miami Herald paper. And she wrote a whole book on this, I think in 2021, called Perversion of Justice. It's very good. You should give that book a read if you're curious how his operation worked, basically.
I have to be honest, I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore.
She's literally defending a pedophile right now.
Anything else?
Yeah, so I don't know what's true about him, but we have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was under 10, I was under 14.
Who gives a fuck? And yes, they were under 14.
When I first came within his purview. Look, you can say that's a distinction without a difference. I
No,
think there
it's
is a
not.
difference.
It's not.
There's a
So she is defending it. At the beginning of this, she said she wasn't defending it. She's clearly defending it, right? I think there is a difference. This is fucking evil, dude. She is a traitor to those children. It's just evil.
the difference between a 15-year-old and a 5-year-old. You know, it's just whatever. It's sick. Because every time we start talking about Epstein, it makes your skin crawl. You right? The whole thing is just disgusting.
Then why are you defending it, Megan? Seriously, what is wrong with her? Anyway, they knew. They knew. Everybody knew. Hold on. I'm just looking here. Apparently, Ghislaine Maxwell was also, or is, or whatever, has one of the most famous Reddit accounts ever. She's a power mod, like in some of the top subreddits. She was the first user to hit 1 million karma in 2012, I think. She's extremely influential on Reddit, bizarrely. Hold on, I'm just looking here. All right, here you go. So from Jeffrey Epstein to Elon Musk, you're welcome to stay or just come for the day. Plenty of room. I will send heli to get you. And Elon says, do you have any parties planned? I've been working. God damn it. Do you have any parties planned? I've been working to the edge of sanity this year. And so once my kids head home after Christmas, I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. The invitation is much appreciated, but a peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. Epstein says, understood. I'll see you on St. Bart or St. Barth. The ratio on my island might make Talila uncomfortable. And Elon says ratio is not a problem for Tallulah. Who the hell is Tallulah? Oh, it's his ex-wife, Tallulah. The ratio, I see. So he's saying there are going to be sex parties with, or I would guess more accurately, rape parties with underage children, is what he's saying. And the ratio will make Tallulah uncomfortable. You don't want to bring your wife to this, is the point. That's so fucking evil, dude. I swear to God, like, after reading about this, I've come to the conclusion that these people are fucking demons. They are evil. The shit that they do and say, the things that they get up to, the people that they take advantage of is fucking evil. There is no empathy to be found here. There is no goodness to be found in these people. And by the way, Donald Trump, best friends with him for 15 years, knew what he was doing. Apparently, according to these most recent dumps, met Melania through Epstein. According to the dumps, took advantage of children, and this is verified. Epstein trafficking victims, or let me rephrase, Trump's Miss Teen USA pageant, like, participants ended up on Epstein's island, and vice versa. Epstein girls ended up in Trump's pageants. There was crossover. Not to mention the workers at Mar-a-Lago ended up at Epstein's island. Fucking evil. We are living in a country run by one of the most prolific sex trafficking pedophiles, in my opinion, in U.S. history. Anyway, I have another video coming out that you should check if this makes you feel down. Donald Trump and ICE are all fucked. So keep a lookout for it if you want to feel a little bit better about our situation. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right. Let me just write this timestamp down. That would be 20 minutes. That's not bad. Pretty good timing. All right. Hang on. I swear I'm not doing coke. I'm eating. All right, let's see. You know what? I'm going to grab this video. Just so that I have it. Yeah. Process all. Yeah. I'm just going to grab this video all legal, like, yeah, legal, you know.
In Jasper County, motherfuckers, I'm coming for you. Yeah, motherfuckers, I'm coming for you. Yeah. All legal, like. Yeah, legal. We'll do it on your terms, motherfuckers.
I'm downloading this video all legal, like, legal. Yeah. We'll do it on your terms, YouTube, motherfuckers. Sorry. I think that's the best video ever. It's a MAGA nutcase who is pissed off at the government. And it's so funny. One of my favorite videos ever. Okay, cool. Next story. Tabs. Epstein is done. All right, let's hit the Trump lost one. Oh, shoot. I forgot to download this video. All legal, like. Yeah, legal. Twitter will do it on your terms, motherfuckers. Process. All right, hang on. Even though he endorsed him directly 3 times. Okay, got it. I'm just naming this. Hiding in plain sight. McCain's widow on Epstein. Awesome. All right, let me open this. Yeah. Perfect. So Donald Trump endorsed a state senate or a state. Donald Trump endorsed somebody for state senate in Texas, and they lost ridiculously. So Trump won by 17 points in this district, and this guy lost by it was 43 to 57. So what is that split? By 15 points, he lost by 15. That's he basically completely flipped the district. And this isn't a one-time thing that we're seeing. Trump is poison now. He's complete poison. Anybody that he endorses loses without fail. This is good news. Okay, I want you to feel like we are winning right now because we are. Hold on. Where is it? Is this the one? November 4th? No. November 5th? December 31st? Wait, where's the newest one? Hold on. Let me find the one I'm looking for. Yeah. all about latest race. Social. I'm just looking. I'm trying to Google this or whatever. Yes, Senate District 9 race. Here. This is what I was looking for. Senate District 9 race. Democrat Taylor Remmett won a special election for the Texas State Senate on Saturday, flipping a reliably Republican district that Donald Trump won by 17 points in 2024. Remmett, a labor union leader and veteran, easily defeated Republican Lee, wow, what a name, Wamsgans? Lee Wamsgans, a conservative activist in the Fort Worth area district. With almost all votes counted, Remmett had a comfortable lead of more than 14 percentage points. Holy shit, dude. Donald Trump is poison. And when asked about this, like, what, you know, you endorsed him 3 times. What do you have to say about this?
Mr. President, Texas, a Democrat won your special election in an area that you had won by 17 points. What is your reaction to that?
I don't know. I didn't hear about it. Somebody ran where?
In Texas, a special election for legislative
The 9th state Senate seat.
I'm not involved in that. That's a
You're not involved? You endorsed him 3 times.
local Texas race. You mean I won by 17
You did.
and this person lost? Things like that happen.
Does it worry you about the
Well, you don't know whether or not it's transferable. You know, I'm not on the ballot, so you don't know whether or not it's transferable. But
What the fuck does that mean?
you know, you put the Democrats in, you'll end up with open borders again. You'll end up with crime all over the place.
Okay, keep playing the same old tune. Meanwhile, ICE, if they knew what was coming, they would have changed their names and left the country already. They don't know what's coming. They don't know how fucking infuriated we are now because of what they've done. They don't know. Don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Let them faceplant. Let them find out the hard way that trials are coming for every single one.
We have no crime anymore. And, I mean, think of it. The country is the lowest crime it's had in 125 years.
Complete fucking lie, but whatever. I don't give a fuck how low crime is. I don't want fascism. It's not worth that.
Recorded history. The year 1900. That's a long time ago. So it's very good. No, I don't know anything about it. I didn't know. I mean, I know there's a race going there.
Oh, so you did know. You're just fucking lying then, is what you're saying. You're just making shit up. You're just saying you don't know because it's an embarrassment to you. Is that what it is?
And it's too bad. What can I say? I have nothing to do with it. Yeah.
Except for the endorsement. This is, again, not the only race, not by a long shot. Let's talk about some of the other recent races. You know, I got into an argument with somebody recently about whether these people are really going to face consequences for their actions. We know how things play out for fascists when dictatorships collapse into democracies again. This happened a lot in the 90s after the Soviet Union collapsed. There were a bunch of countries that turned into dictatorships and then back into democracies or whatever. I guess just turned into democracies, not turned back into. But the point is, it was heavily studied in the 90s. It's called transitional justice, and it does not end well for these people. Some of the signs that we can look for are sustained political engagement. Let me rephrase. One of the signs we should look for to see if this is actually going to collapse back into democracy is sustained political engagement. When I saw the hands-off protest turn into the No Kings protest, which turned into No Kings Part 2, and there were more people in No Kings Part 2 than there were in Part 1, that told me there is sustained political engagement. That is exactly what we would want to see to know that things are changing. to know that these people are going to pay the price. And on top of all of that, it's all talk until you get to the ballot box, right? Well, here we are looking at the ballot box results, and we have even harder evidence that it's just not infuriated people who don't have jobs or who have the ability to protest but not vote or whatever. No, these are voters. That Texas state Senate election is one in a long line of pieces of evidence that there is sustained political engagement and people are infuriated. Here are a few more. 7 key races. Every single election that takes place is going to Democrats, just about. Virginia governor is a big one. Democrat Abigail Spanberger, a centrist former House member, defeated Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears by double digits. Throughout the Trump years, it's almost always been right down the center. 52 to 48 is like a wide margin. We are beating them by double digits right now. In her victory speech, Spanberger criticized federal government shutdown. Virginia's economy doesn't work when Washington treats our Virginia workers as expendable, she said. And to those across the Potomac who are attacking our jobs and our economy, I will not stand by silently. New York City mayor is a really big one. That was a key indicator that not just that Republicans are losing, but that establishment Democrats are losing. It was a completely fair race between a progressive and a centrist Democrat who said he would be willing to work with Donald Trump. And it was the clearest indicator imaginable that people are fucking sick of centrist, down the middle Democrats who are willing to work with MAGA and cede ground. We don't want that anymore. Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani beat former Governor Andrew Cuomo, running as an independent, by 9 points, while Republican Curtis Sliwa came out in a distant third. New Jersey Governor, Democrat Mike Sherrill, who also first won a House seat in the 2018 midterms, defeated Republican Jack Ciatrelli by double digits. Double digits. Ciatrelli, I guess, who narrowly lost a governor's race 4 years ago after keeping his distance from Trump, ran with his full endorsement this time. Sherrill, meantime, tied him to Trump's handling of the economy and the recent SNAP food aid cuts, among other things. California's Prop 50 was a great example. A ballot measure backed by Governor Gavin Newsom to adopt a Democratic redistricting plan as a counter to Republican attempts to gerrymander other states passed resoundingly. Not even close. And here's the thing about gerrymandering, okay? If you don't know how gerrymandering works, it's actually working in our favor, believe it or not. Texas is fucking themselves right now. Let me explain. Okay, look at this picture. This is, on the left, an example of 60% blue districts, 40% red districts or precincts. So naturally, you would think this state or whatever would have 4 Republican congressmen, 6 Democratic congressmen. But depending on how you split it, you can gerrymander and make it more difficult for Democrats to win or for Republicans to win. If you split it horizontally, then you have 5 blue districts, 0 red districts. If you split it in a fucking maze like this, then you end up with 3 red districts, 2 blue districts. But you see, here's the problem. The more you split the districts to give yourself more red seats, when that's obviously not representative of the people, the closer the races are going to be. So you can have 2 solidly red districts where Republicans are going to win every single time and there's just no question about it. Or you can have 5 red districts that are pretty close. Texas and other Republican strongholds have decided to gerrymander to make it pretty close for Republicans. They're not securing the most powerful or the most clear. God, I'm trying to phrase this a certain way. I'm having so much trouble. Somebody help me out here. They're not securing safe districts for themselves. They're securing mostly safe districts for themselves. And with this boom that we are witnessing, where Republicans are hated across the country, with this boom we're experiencing, Republicans are fucked. In fact, I want them to gerrymander. Please gerrymander more. At this point, I believe gerrymandering is going to help Democrats gloriously. They believed that this was their only way out of this situation because they're so unpopular. They are fucking themselves right now. Seriously. Do not interrupt your enemy while they're making a mistake. All right, I'm sorry. I'm just looking here. 1 second. Make sure you always give MAGA 1 start on WikiFeet. I'm not sure I understand, but I like the super chat, and I appreciate that. 1 second. Anyway, the point is these people are completely and totally fucked in my opinion. They are going to... They are face planting. It's not they are going to, they are face planting. They are completely fucking themselves right now. And I love everything about it. I want to see more of it. Yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. At this point, in my opinion, ICE is so fucking hated that they could stand outside checking the IDs of people who go into voting centers and it wouldn't matter. At this point, we're at the point now where people will crawl over broken glass to vote against Donald Trump or anybody that he endorsed. That is how hated they are. That's the thing that MAGA had going for them. They would crawl over broken glass to vote for their guy. They have literally nothing else going on in their lives. They're 80 years old, and they've been voting Republican since, 1933 or whatever. And they are completely prepared to continue to vote no matter what. On their deathbed, they will get a mail-in ballot and then bitch about mail-in ballots for the next 2 weeks. That is the situation that we have found ourselves in. We have that voter base now because of what Donald Trump has done. I think Republicans are fucked for a generation. I think they have completely hollowed out their party. I think that when dictatorships fall to democracy, when dictatorships arise, one of the things that they have to do to stay in power, to survive as dictatorships, is consolidate power. If they don't consolidate power within 2 to 5 years, it will all fall apart. Because they're going to do a lot of unpopular things, and when those unpopular things are ordered, the bureaucrats all the way up and down the chain will have a choice to obey orders or ignore orders. And I'm not just talking about military. I mean everybody, Department of Justice workers, the FBI, everybody up and down the chain. And there's been a lot of that. Obviously, they've been trying to consolidate power, but there are a lot of federal workers, and you can't kick them all out and start fresh. They certainly tried, but the ones that didn't leave, which is 90% of them, were galvanized against the Trump administration. He basically has to the end of his term to consolidate power. And if that happens, then the dictatorship usually lasts another 20 years if they can consolidate within 2 to 5. Donald Trump doesn't have another 20 years anyway, and there's nobody that can lead MAGA the way that he does. What happens when he kicks it? JD Vance going to step in? No. He needs to explicitly name a successor and have them stand in for him regularly. Look at how Kim Jong-il and Kim Jong-un did it. He groomed Kim Jong-un in a non-sexual way, hopefully, to take control after he died. Because that transition of power is a weak moment. It's a weak spot. The military can choose to go one way or another. So basically, Kim Jong-un stepped in before his dad died and was controlling things before his dad died. And immediately after his dad died, he fired a bunch of like high-ranking people in the government all the way up and down the chain and replaced them with his own loyalists. He already had the loyalty of all of them, but to be extra super sure, he replaced them with loyalists. That is what would have to happen for Donald Trump to pass his power on to a successor. That successor would have to earn their own loyalty among the people, and there's nobody that could step in like that. Donald Trump would have to participate and help. You know, if he wanted JD Vance to be the guy, or Don Jr. or whoever, he would have to participate. He would have to demand loyalty from the generals, from the administrators on behalf of JD Vance. And he's not going to do it. His ego will not allow something like that. Ever. So the point is, this is over and done with when Trump kicks it. This dictatorship is over and done with. He just doesn't have the time to consolidate power. If he was 45, it may be different, but he's not. I'll be surprised if he makes it to the end of his term. But honestly, him making it to 2028 is probably better for us because it would not allow JD Vance the time he would need to consolidate power and access to the bully pulpit he would require to gain popularity. Ideally, if we want to get out of this dictatorship, in my opinion, I think we either need to remove JD Vance and Trump and everybody all the way up and down the chain, maybe through treason charges. I think they remove the whole administration in that case. I don't know. Or he serves the whole 4 years and goes away, and that's the end of it. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. I've had hope for a while now because of things like this. Tell me your thoughts. All right, let's see. 22 minutes to 44 minutes. That's not bad. Good timing so far. All right, awesome. Delete the Epstein video. Delete Trump lost. Just a second. Sorry, I'm just trying to open. All right, awesome. Hang on. Apparently, there is a Christian nationalist who is like one of the leaders of ICE in Minnesota. Big surprise, right? Listen to this.
Give me an overview of what it's like, you guys.
They have him on as a guest on their show. These are Christian nationalists.
Give us a broader picture, because as you well know, you know what the facts are, but you also know the disparity between the actual facts and the narrative that's happening.
Right.
Help us understand that.
Sure.
So we have an ICE official in to tell us what the truth of the matter is. All right, give me the truth.
For instance, the Renee Good or the Brian Preddy.
Isn't it Alex Preddy? This guy's supposed to be giving us the truth. and the facts, and he doesn't even know the dude's name. It was Alex, right? Am I drunk? Yes, it was Alex. And wow, the dude was 1 year older than me. That is disturbing.
Deaths, tragic as they are, it's incredibly easy to not get killed by an ICE officer or anybody enforcing immigration law. You have to not aim your car at them, and you have to...
That's not what Renee Good did. She was very obviously turning. They are desperate to lie about this. First of all, she was turning. And second, you should never, ever stand in front of a car as an officer of the law. That's day one. Literally, day one, they will explain that to you. Especially if you're like traffic enforcement, when you get out to enforce traffic, you never stand in front of the car, okay? At any point, ever. That's on the ICE agent. And you know what? On top of that, Jonathan Ross is who did that. He was a law enforcement officer, not just ICE, but an actual cop, if I'm not mistaken, for like 10 years. He knows that.
To not bring a gun into a place where you're going to resist and fight.
Don't fucking tell me where I can bring a gun. I'll bring a gun wherever the fuck I want. You know why? Because of the Second Amendment. Because I can do whatever the fuck I want with a gun. Because your dumbass argued for it. Good job. Isn't it wild how these people have completely flipped on the Second Amendment like that? Instantly. They're suddenly anti-Second Amendment. Oh, now they want gun regulation. It is wild to me. It's like, do they not have whiplash from the arguments that they give?
Federal officers. Barring that, you have to hold that these were probably good people who had disagreements.
Who were the good people? ICE? Is that who he's talking about?
With you and could have a normal discussion in normal times. But that isn't happening here. Like, if I'm a gun carrier myself.
And you're arguing against gun carrying, apparently.
Privately. And my first responsibility is to not get into any confrontations outside of saving a life with anyone. So don't do that. But that isn't happening here.
He didn't get into a confrontation. I just want to, I'm not going to let him rewrite history, okay? Alex Preddy saw somebody pushed down by ICE maliciously and went over and helped her up and said, "Are you okay?" That's what happened. That's not him getting into a confrontation with ICE. That's him helping somebody up. And ICE walked over to him, put him on the ground, and executed him. So I don't want to hear it. John Smith making excuses for execution. For having a gun.
This is being pushed, and there's like Bill Wells said, a spiritual darkness on these folks.
A spiritual darkness?
And it's only the hand of God that's going to change this.
Only the hand of God is going to change it. These people are psychotic, dude. Seriously. What is wrong with them? Here's another take. This is Steve Deese on the right. And on the left is a fake historian, pretends to be a historian in a field that matters to me very much. And that fucking infuriates me. He claims to have written the Dietrich Bonhoeffer biography, when in reality, that was Dietrich Bonhoeffer's best friend, Eberhard, Eberhard Bethge, Eberhard Bethge. That's how it's pronounced. Smell something burning. I hope it's just food. It should just be food. Anyway, Eberhard Bethge is who wrote Bonhoeffer's actual biography. The biography that this guy on the left wrote is his fake biography, where it makes all kinds of unfounded, ridiculous claims, lies all through it. Claims that Bonhoeffer helped in the assassination plot against Hitler. It's a lie. Claims Hitler won his election. Flat out bald-faced fucking lie. He didn't. He lost his election. Anyway, the point is he's not his biographer, and that just infuriates the shit out of me, but we're not here to talk about him. Listen to what Steve Deese on the right says about ICE.
He's afraid of being branded authoritarian and having it stick. But
can I address that for a second?
Yeah.
The thing about our side that drives me nuts is we consistently get labeled, like, for example, on abortion. Hey, you guys want to make every teenage mom, bleed out from a coat hanger in every alley in America.
Well, I don't think I ever said that. I said the policy that you're pushing for is going to be the direct result. Is going to directly result in what you just described. People bleeding out from coat hangers. That is absolutely going to happen as a result of what you're doing. I never said that you want that or whatever. Dude can't frame his opponents honestly for the life of him.
We get called that no matter what we do anyway.
That's the
so
point.
Why don't we actually pass the legislation that we wanted, that we believe in?
Right.
If they're going to call us that no matter what we
That's
do,
correct.
stop trying to be reasonable. Someone must
Stop trying to be reasonable, he says.
be made. This is parenting 101. This is everything. This is any negotiation 101.
Right.
If you're the guy at the table saying, I can't afford to lose, you've already lost.
Right.
All right. So someone must be made an example out of. A community must be made an example out of. So it's a cautionary tale.
A community must be made an example of. What an absolutely fucking psychotic thing to say. Seriously. Wait. I'm just looking for... I'm trying to find a post that I put up on YouTube. Let me find it. Hold on. Here we go. This is it. You know what this reminds me of, in all seriousness? It reminds me of this cartoon right here. Can I not? All right, I can't blow it up more, apparently. It'll do. My God, these Trump people are fascists. Dude with a MAGA hat leans in. That attitude is what's pushing me to be a fascist. She says, say what? He says, might as well. You say I'm a Nazi, so fine, I'll be a Nazi if that makes you happy. It doesn't, she says. I bought this Waffen-SS uniform for Halloween. You'll cry offensive, so maybe I'll just wear it every day. He shaves his head while getting a tattoo of a swastika and says, I just hate to do this. I feel bullied, really. That's what's happening right now. Seriously, this is unironically what is happening in this video. Listen one more time.
If you're the guy at the table saying, I can't afford to lose, you've already lost.
Right.
All right. So someone must be made an example out of. A community must be made an example out of. So it's a cautionary tale so that everybody still knows what Sodom and Gomorrah means. It's been 4,000 years. Everybody knows. An example must be made. We've not made an example out of anybody yet.
You haven't? Not just two people, but two people are very publicly dead. Way more than just two are dead. As a direct result of ICE coming in and fucking killing people. How is that not exactly what you're describing? Hang on. There was another video I wanted to talk about. I'm trying to remember what it was now. God damn it, the cats are getting into shit. Hold on, let me pull up my tabs here. And you know what else is really wild about this? Hold on, let me pull up these videos. Okay. What's my timestamp on this? This is 45... And we are at 55 minutes so far. Okay. ICE right now is demanding people's like ID and stuff like that. I mean, you heard what the guy just said, right?
There are now roughly 3,000 federal agents on the ground in Minneapolis in that area making immigration arrests, questioning people who live there. Here's what some of those conversations sound like.
You have some ID then, please?
I don't need ID.
If not, we're going to put you in the vehicle and we're going to ID you.
I am U.S. citizen. And I don't think so you have a right to picture me while I am in my home and walking around in my home. This is not acceptable. You guys, you're terrorizing people,
Ma'am,
and it's not
where
acceptable.
were you born?
It doesn't matter where I was born. I belong here. I am U.S. citizen.
What went through your head?
I was shocked. I was, my heart was beating so fast, and I was like, what's going on? Where am I? Is a question I was asking inside, in my head while they were talking. Actually, I was thinking, maybe I'm not in the United States of America.
Why didn't you hand your ID over?
First of all, I cannot, hand out my ID a random person. They are not a police. I know, police can stop me anytime and ask me if, my ID, but that's not a right, place to ask when I'm just walking in my neighborhood. So I thought it was, weird that someone would just randomly say, we need your ID.
Republicans cheering this on now. They're cheering for this. They're saying, yes, you should just give over your ID. Hang on. Let me find one more video. Here, this is the one I was looking for. Here's another one.
If people say, oh, that's, they should be entitled to due process. Well, no, case law says clearly they're not entitled to the same due process protections as U.S. citizens.
That's a lie. He just completely made that shit up. They are absolutely entitled to due process, just like U.S. citizens. It says persons in the Constitution, not citizens. You know the reason why due process is important? Because here's a good example. And I'm going somewhere with this. Just stick with me for a second. My old brother-in-law, he had like felonies on his record. He was not in good shape. He was a bit of a mess. He was a drug addict and stuff. He gets caught by the cops, and he gives the cops a fake name. He gives the name of his cousin who didn't have charges on his record. And they took him to jail, and it took him a few days to sort it out. It took him a few days for them to realize who he actually was. That's why we need due process, if no other reason. Because you never know who people are. You need to be able to sort this out so you're not, punishing the wrong person for something that someone else did or whatever. Aside from all of that, these people have no right. Like, ICE has no jurisdiction whatsoever over U.S. citizens.
Or people who are here illegally. In fact, there's, of course, you have the Secretary of State, and the State Department has tremendous breadth and authority pursuant to the interests and the protection of the interests of the United States to deport people immediately, even people who are here legally as immigrants. But then when you have people who are here as illegal immigrants.
No, I don't think that's true. Again, like half the shit he says is a lie.
They can be removed and deported. They don't have to have a trial. The Obama administration.
That's not true either. That is a lie.
More than 85% of those that were deported had no hearing or anything. They were just deported.
Another lie. He's probably talking about deporting people at the border. I don't think they were counted as official deportations. I'm not sure, but they caught them at the border, basically, before they came over and turned them around and sent them back. That's what he's counting as not giving them a trial. If they come over the border, they're not in the United States. So
now, I will say this. People say, well, what if they're an actual U.S. citizen and they're just deported? Well, everyone has an opportunity to file what's called a writ of habeas corpus. So if...
Hey, dumbass, what do you think due process is? He's literally describing due process. Yes, Jagoff, that's what we're talking about. We should have a right to due process. Obviously. Jesus fucking Christ, these people are worthless.
I'm suddenly going to be deported, I can call my attorney. He can file a writ of habeas corpus, show my driver's license, show my birth certificate. Boom, I'm safe. So
that is literally due process, and they're being deprived of due process. That's the point. But here's the ultimate point of my video. Do you guys remember this?
They want you to be required to have something called a COVID passport, and this would mandate your ability to be able to travel, your ability to be able to go to events, your ability to be able to buy and sell.
This is literally like the show me your papers crowd now. This is the group of people who want you to have to give over your papers to people to prove you are this person or that you're here illegally or whatever other shit. This is the show me your papers crowd 5 years ago. This video is from 2021, May 20th, 2021.
And I asked the question earlier today, is this something like Biden's mark of the beast? Because that is really disturbing and not good. Oh, if you're going to come into the football game or the baseball game or the concert, you need your vaccine passport because we're trying to do a good job to keep everyone safe.
Isn't that funny? I mean, not funny, haha, but funny like that's fucking sick. Ironic, I guess, is a better word. Or, yeah, ironic.
This is what the Biden administration is trying to talk to these private companies into doing.
No, it wasn't. At no point ever was there a vaccine passport that you need to travel or whatever. There were some situations where you couldn't like sit down and dine in at a restaurant unless you could prove that you were vaccinated, but you could get takeout. Your kid had, you know what? Your kid could still go to school if you were unvaccinated, I believe. Like kids were not required to be vaccinated. There was really very little in the way of requirements on people to get vaccinated. And there were very few restrictions, almost none. And that was a public health pandemic that we were dealing with once in 100 years. And the restrictions, as far as there were any, were imposed by private companies, not the government by and large. And they went away within like a year at most, or maybe 2, I suppose. And these people were bitching non-stop that there were going to be, it's always something going to happen in the future. There were going to be vaccine passports. Now this crowd is actually the show me your papers crowd.
Well, let's analyze that. You see, it's still the same thing. It's still fascism or communism, whatever you want to call it, but it's coming from private companies.
Oh, it's so stupid. It's like that time Tim Pool said communazis. He referred to people as communazis. That is the stupidest, most illiterate shit I have ever heard in my entire fucking life, ever.
So I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
These people are so fucking stupid, every last one of them. Here's something that Lauren Chen posted. She's, if you don't remember, she's the, God, what was, one of the people who, she's one of the people who was being paid by Russia. In fact, she organized the whole Russian influencer scheme where they paid Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Lauren Chen got some, and some other people. They got paid all this money to just for nothing, seemingly, just because they were pretty faces, I suppose. And they had no idea it was from Russia. Anyway, that's Lauren Chen. Listen to this video she posted.
Recently, footage from France started circulating online showing police officers going around people who were outdoor dining, asking them for their health passes to ensure that they had, in fact, been jabbed, because that's pretty much a necessity now in order to participate in public life.
Okay, first of all, that was in France. Second, is this even real? I'm sorry, I just don't believe a word out of her fucking mouth. Third, that went away after the pandemic. I mean, any form of that went away completely after the pandemic ended. And finally, these people are now asking for papers and don't see the sick irony behind it. They don't see the hypocrisy of this.
In France.
Je vais contrôler vos passes sanitaires, s'il vous plaît. Voilà. Avec une pièce d'identité, s'il vous plaît.
This never happened in the United States. Nothing even approximating this. You could be outside and you were perfectly safe from anything.
It's terrifying stuff. And I'm sure
I mean, it was fake, so.
many of us could never have imagined 2 years ago that this would be the world we're living in. And by the way, to my American friends watching this, if you still don't think this is going to affect you specifically, you think, oh, well, yeah, I mean, San Francisco has the pass and New York is implementing one, but those are just coastal crazy.
That was just complete nonsense. That never happened. I lived in New York City through COVID, and that was just completely made up. That never happened in New York City. I lived in Manhattan, and that shit never happened.
I'm gonna blow your mind. Here we have one story where an Arizona father was arrested for not leaving school property because his child was not allowed to attend due to the virus contact tracing rule.
Wait, I'm sorry. Why the fuck was this dude, some random guy at the school in the first place if his son wasn't in school? I don't know. Did he have business there? What was his business? I'm not even allowed in the school unless I have business there. Schools are like heavily guarded nowadays, especially after Sandy Hook and everything. I don't like, what are you even bitching about here?
There is no law that gives her the right to remove my daughter from her legal school.
It seems like he was like causing problems intentionally, right? Obviously.
The school has decided that the student is needing to quarantine for 10 days based on a contact tracing, which has no proof.
Which has no proof. What, you want to go through some kind of a court of law or something to determine that you were exposed to COVID? Like, what are they even complaining about? I don't understand. These people are fucking vile, dude. There is no principle to be found among these people. None. They have no principles. They jump from one thing to the next with absolutely no connecting tissue whatsoever. It just blows me away how they get whiplash. Or I'm sorry. It just blows me away to a point that I'm convinced they must get whiplash from this. And now we're facing down something very similar where Alex Preddy was executed in the streets by ICE for having a gun, not brandishing a gun, not waving it around like a fool, didn't even pull it out of his holster, didn't even point to the gun. He simply had a gun. And they executed him for it. And suddenly you get people coming out of the woodwork saying, shouldn't have had a gun. Can't bring guns around to a protest. I'll bring a gun wherever the fuck I want to bring a gun. Not one principle to be found among these people. Not one. They will jump from position to position to position and call you the lunatic. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people need help, seriously. I'm completely done working with or trying to help or whatever MAGA. I'm not making videos for MAGA anymore. I'm not making videos trying to convince others anymore. I'm done. They're unreachable. I'm calling it. I'm making videos for those of us who are fucking sick of MAGA. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are vile. They're TFGs. They're too far gone. There's no saving these people. I'll tell you what, though. In the next administration, they're fucked. If ICE knew what was coming, they would have changed their name and moved to another country already. I wonder if their bonus that they're getting will cover that. Tell me your thoughts. All right, what is that? That's 110. Yeah, we're making pretty good time. Good. All right. Awesome. I actually have like a lot of videos queued up already, so I don't really need more. Like, I'm in good shape. Let's see, what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3 scheduled, and it's Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So really I need 5 videos at least, probably. And on main I have 2, 3, 4 scheduled. Okay, cool. Let me just check my timestamps and my tabs and stuff here. Hold on. The first. All right, so we got ICE, delete tab. Got vaccine passports, delete. Oh, yes, Brian Kilmeade. Oh, my God. Okay, you guys remember Mr. Rogers? I'm a little bit too young for Mr. Rogers. He wasn't really like, my thing. Because he was kind of in the 80s and the 90s, and I was around in like the 90s and the 2000s. Anyway, Fox News completely destroyed Mr. Rogers. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they came at him hard. This guy right here, Brian Kilmeade, said that Mr. Rogers is a piece of shit, basically. Listen to this.
Well,
not as good,
frankly, because
it's generational.
As a result,
you with Mr. Rogers,
this evil man,
evil man.
now
not
ruined
evil.
A generation of kids.
And you know what? I'm with Captain Kangaroo. He was half a generation ahead.
That explains a few things, Steve.
Absolutely, because these experts are saying that the kids of today who grew up with Mr. Rogers were told by him, "You're special just for being who you are." Well, here's the problem. It gets lost in that whole selfish business, and the idea that being hard and having high expectations for yourself, discounted. Mr. Rogers' message was, you're special because you do. He didn't say, if you want to be special, you're going to have to work hard. And now all these kids are growing up, and they're realizing, hey, wait a minute. Mr. Rogers lied to me. I'm not special.
Dude, like, trying to just make kids feel good about who they are and just be happy. Just trying to make kids have a little bit of confidence in themselves. They literally said evil. They used the word evil. I used the word evil earlier. Do you know who or what I was referencing? Jeffrey Epstein. I was talking about how this guy went out to local schools and looked for literal children after school ended who were vulnerable, who didn't have a parent around looking out for them, who were undocumented, whose parents were drug addicts. He would look for children like that, and he would take them back to his house and force himself on them. That's what I mean when I say evil. And he is calling Mr. Rogers evil for saying that people are special? I'm telling you, man, Fox News, especially Brian Kilmeade, they are fucking depraved. Seriously, they are soulless demons. I'm not a Christian. I don't believe in any of this shit. I think it's fucking stupid. But if there were anything that would convince me that demons are real, it's 2 things. Kenneth Copeland and Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, 3 things. And anybody that defends Jeffrey Epstein or pretends that he is not evil in some way and that Mr. Rogers is? I don't know what other word to use but demon.
I'm trying.
Oh, and by the way, this is the same guy, Brian Kilmeade, who said this not too long ago.
We feel so compassionate because you see the mental health crisis happening.
Exactly.
But it's not our job. We shouldn't have to live in fear while they figure out what's going on right.
Talking about the homeless issue happening, I believe.
there.
Right.
Put them in a mental institution, put them in a jail, and you guys figure it out. But people having to duck and dive on the trains and the buses, walking through the street.
Like, that's not happening. They're in New York City. I believe I lived in Manhattan when this was filmed, possibly. I'm not sure when this was filmed. But I just left Manhattan. I'm from Manhattan, in effect. Lived there for years. That's just completely made up. This does not happen in New York City.
This is one case, but this is happening all across the country, and it's not a money issue. They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to.
Okay, so we've moved from, all right, so we have moved to homeless people need to be jailed. That is a psychotic position. It gets worse.
Be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection.
Yeah.
Now we're moving from jail them to literally murder homeless people. We need to give them the death penalty for being homeless. That's Brian Kilmeade, the guy who said Mr. Rogers is evil.
Or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right.
Just kill them.
I would say this: we're not voting for the right people. In North Carolina, wake up. You can't keep putting these people in power. They woke up in Los Angeles. They got a stronger DA. They woke up they got rid of Chancellor Bodine in San Francisco. Hopefully they'll get rid of this terrible guy, Alvin Bragg in New York. And now it's up to the people, the election, which is who's ever up in November, and that Senate seat that belongs to Tom Tillis, who, by the way, yesterday said.
Anyway, the point is that Brian Kilmeade is evil. That shit is evil.
And I'm not getting anywhere.
This comes out of Louisiana State University. A professor there has examined just what damage Mr. Rogers may have done to this whole crop of kids who now feel entitled.
The damage that Mr. Rogers did to children. Are you shitting me? You know, first of all, he didn't do any damage to children. And second, why aren't they talking about Donald Trump taking advantage of children? Or Jeffrey Epstein? It was known at the time. This isn't like something that we were just completely in the dark about. These people are fucking broken inside, dude. And we have a First Amendment in this country. I believe that, you know, people should be allowed to say what they want to say without going to jail for it. Within reason, of course. There are limitations, like fire in a crowded theater and stuff. But after World War II, there was a denazification effort, and that denazification effort actually led to extremist propagandists being charged for crimes. Like Goebbels was effectively, I mean, he was dead. He didn't make it to the Nuremberg trials, but he was responsible for countless deaths, and everybody was fully aware of that. Or Julius Streicher was executed at the Nuremberg trials by hanging for his vile fucking attitude and the things that he said and did. He would just make things up about people brazenly, just lie about them. Claimed that there was a Jewish guy who put a cat in a bag and like slammed it against a wall. Completely made up. He fabricated it. It wasn't real. None of it was real. That is exactly what these people are doing. Fox News, that's what they do. And I'm telling you, we will see consequences for these people for what they're saying and doing right now. They will face consequences. It's going to take some time. We're going to have to sift through them, but it's going to go all the way to the top. But the point is that we're going to have to... We should start talking about who should face consequences rather than who will face consequences, because they absolutely will. They absolutely will. And I think people like Brian Kilmeade trying to get people to talk about murdering homeless people, that's a line. That's too far for me.
Just for being them. And what he says is, instead of telling them, you know, you're special, you're great, why didn't he just say, you know what, there's a lot of improvement. Keep working on yourself.
Yeah, the world owes you nothing. If you're there, you got to prove it. So for now, all these people, these kids are going to college and say, okay, I need an A. Because I'm special. And they go, no, you got to work hard for it. But actually, this is my generation. I think we're a hard-working generation. I'm worried about this upcoming generation.
You know what? There's some other information regarding this. And when you look at the American students from Asian countries who did not watch, according to the research, who did not watch Mr. Rogers, when they get a B or a C, they go, I got a B or a C. I got to work harder.
Oh, my God, dude, please. As if students today are not like learning that they have to work harder for their grades or whatever. Give it a fucking rest, dude.
Which is a little different than what
rather than play professor.
Okay, but listen, we want to hear what you have to think. Do you think that Mr. Rogers was a force for good, or that he ruined a crop of our newest, youngest generation? Write in. Let us know what you think. If Mr. Rogers telling everybody that they were really special was a good thing. Okay?
Mr. Rogers, evil genius. Listen to you.
I'm fucking done with these people, dude. These people are going to face consequences in the new regime, or what, in the new system. When Donald Trump is out of office, these people will face consequences for what they've said and done. I'm telling you, I will push for it hard. I will not accept anything else. This is wrong. The shit that they're saying and doing, it's wrong.
They did
so funny.
A study at a university, and they were trying to figure out, this one professor was trying to figure out, why is it at the end of every term, these kids who are on the bubble, they're going to get a C or they're going to get a B, they come in and they beg for extra so they can get an A. He is part of a chorus of people who say, blame Mr. Rogers. Because
are you fucking kidding me, dude? People do that all the time. They've been doing that for years. You think that a kid isn't begging for an extra 2 points, trying to get extra credit or whatever so that they can get an A instead of a B? What are you smoking that you think that this is like a brand new thing that people weren't doing before that they are now doing?
Because Mr. Rogers had an optimistic message where everybody was special, even if they didn't deserve it, these experts say.
Because the rap on this new generation is that they feel entitled, right? They all feel entitled to getting an A.
This is the most boomer fucking take I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. I swear to God.
For a grade. So when there's a C, they go to the professor like, clearly you've made a mistake. Where's my A? And so people are trying to figure out what's gone wrong with this generation. And this professor at Louisiana State University says, it's Mr. Rogers. He is the root cause of all of these problems.
Well, look, the world owes you nothing. You've been told that over and over again now, so you got to cut your own weight. If you think you're special, well, go prove it. The signs of narcissism in this society has been growing for 25 years.
Yeah, they just love fabricating information completely out of the fucking blue, don't they? Narcissism has been growing for 25 years. Who told you that? Where did you hear that? This is certainly not a real statistic.
And that man unintentionally did a whole generation or two a disservice.
Well, that's what this study says.
I back it.
Okay,
well,
I
don't. Look, your kids play t-ball these days. Everybody wins. Everybody wins.
That doesn't happen. Not everybody wins in t-ball. This is completely made up.
Rogers, I'm sure, happy.
Everybody, well, maybe from heaven where he's watching us right now.
Oh, he thinks he's in heaven. Okay, interesting. Go on.
Where, you know, there's no incentive. Everybody's going to get the trophy. Everybody's going to.
Everyone's got to wear a sweater.
Everybody wins.
Here's from Nancy in Lincoln Park. She emailed us. Yeah, let's blame it on Mr. Rogers, not the parents who are trying to keep up with the Joneses and give their kids everything instead of making them work for it. Nancy, you're absolutely right. Why aren't kids taught more and more that if you want something in life, you're going to have to go get it?
All right, well, here's the other side.
Like, people don't have to go get it. You know, conditions are objectively, factually worse for the generation they're talking about, which is us, I guess. Me, you know, say 8 years old to 40 years old probably is who they were referring to here. Things are objectively worse for that generation that they're referring to, anyone under 40, than it was for anybody over 40. Like, in every single way. Jobs are worse. Pay is worse. There is no generational wealth available. Or let me rephrase. There's no wealth available for our generation. There are no good jobs around. These people, the boomers, were handed a phenomenally good economy and fucked it from here to high heaven. And are complaining about us messing it up when we were entering the workforce. These people are shameless, soulless, empty sacks of shit, dude. I'm telling you, there will be Nuremberg-style trials. There absolutely will. And they had better buckle up for that. It is coming. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. They're shameless. Shameless scumbags, all of them. 17, 16, 15. All right, that works. See, we hit Kilmeade. Sandy Hook, we can't mess with the Second Amendment. ICE murderers, why do people have guns? Sickening. Purrs to the feline overlords. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And the cats appreciate it too. One of them is sitting right behind me. There's an apex predator sitting behind me right now. So that's concerning. All right, I'm not sure if this one's going to go anywhere, but it may be interesting to watch. All right.
Offshore. Like they offshored. Like New Jersey, you grew up in New Jersey, was a farmer stronghold.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Jobs cover the news. Yeah, all right. Cenk Uygur went on Tucker Carlson the other day to have a conversation with him. I'm going to watch this on my Unfiltered YouTube channel if you guys want to see it there. But I just want to watch a little bit of it and see what he has to say to him. I understand it's absolutely psychotic.
Semites, etc. Their job is not to cover the news, it's to cover up the news.
Just a little bit of context. I understand one of the main things that they bonded over or whatever was anti-Semitism. Now, I'm actually very opposed to Israel. I think it's being led by monsters right now. But as we know, Tucker Carlson is not opposed to support of Israel. He just fucking hates Jews is what it boils down to. So we're going to jump in here and see what they have to say. Cenk Uygur, by the way, is going completely off the rails. He's off in La La Land at this point.
Terrorists and anti-Semites, etc. Their job is not to cover the news, it's to cover up the news. So, I mean, again, look at...
That is literally true.
Yeah. So Obama ran a campaign ad called Billy back in 2008. And it was about the deal to not negotiate drug prices. It was outrageous. Everyone hated it. A Democrat named Billy Tauzin had negotiated it in Congress. That's why the ad was called Billy. And Obama was saying, I'm not going to be like those Democrats, right?
Yeah.
He got in, said, we're not negotiating drug prices. Trump said, we're going to negotiate drug prices. Not going to negotiate drug prices.
So I knew Billy Tauzin really well, for a wonderful guy from Shack Bay, Louisiana.
Okay, I can trust that he's a complete sack of shit if he's being endorsed by Tucker Carlson of all people.
Just a really charming guy. I used to hang with him a lot, and I always loved him, still do. But he went from Congress to what? Do you know what his next job was?
Lobbyist.
Head of
Big Pharma.
Exactly. He was the head pharma lobbyist.
And that's my point, Tucker.
I'm not attacking him, but that happened. I was there.
Yeah.
He's got such a weird fucking laugh. Is it just me? Why did people make fun of Kamala's laugh when this motherfucker was running around like a fucking idiot?
Like, what?
So,
God, I can't even imitate it very well. It kind of squeezes his eyes shut, you know.
Big Pharma.
Exactly.
The cat thinks I'm trying to talk to him.
He was the head pharma lobbyist.
And that's my point, Tucker.
I'm not attacking him, but that happened. I was there.
Yeah.
Like, what?
So mainstream media looks at that and goes, "No, I don't see it.
I don't see it.
I don't. Big Pharma gives more, like 4 times more than the Israeli lobby does, and they're like, no, I don't see it. I'm like, isn't the adage follow the money? Like, so here is an industry giving billions of dollars to politicians. That's a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
5,000 at a time, right? And then to super PACs, etc. They seem like they're bribing almost all of Congress. Nope. Conspiracy theory. I had a
because they're bribing all the media too with drug ads.
Of course, that's their number 1 advertisers are drug companies. Number 2 advertisers, by the way, are politicians. Why do they always say that politicians are honest and they're having real debates? Because politicians are actually their top clients. So when you spend $17 billion in money in politics, where does it go? It goes almost all to establishment media to buy ads. So the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are the best clients that CNN, New York Times have. So they are.
I can agree that lobbying is a big problem, for sure. I absolutely agree with that, obviously. I wouldn't be caught dead on Tucker Carlson's program, ever. I don't give a fuck if he agrees with me on some of this shit. It's unforgivable to work with a literal neo-Nazi.
Always talking about how great the Republican and Democratic parties are, how terrible primaries are. Primaries use up that money. We didn't get all those bribes to spend it in a primary. We got it to have a fake fight in the general election where you pick the lesser of 2 evils. Ha ha, we got you. So that's that's the Rosetta Stone, money in politics. Once you see that, you see how politics works, and you also see how media works, which then leads us back to Israel. So we say, guys, they have contributed. Guardian did a piece on this. The Israeli lobby has contributed to 94% of Congress. Okay, first, do you think they did that for their health?
Okay, the Israeli lobby? I'm not sure what he's referring to specifically. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that that's true. I'm just like super skeptical of every word out of either of these people's mouths because they lie for a living, both of them, honestly, at this point.
The general welfare. Or do you think that every group they have is named after Israel because the whole point is to support Israel, right? That's not a complicated question. It's the American Israeli Political Action Committee. It's got Israel. One of the groups is called Democratic Majority for Israel. They ran $4 million worth of ads against Nina Turner, which is one of Bernie Sanders' campaign chairs, to make sure that she was defeated by Chantel Brown. Chantel Brown was one of 11 people running against Nina Turner, had almost no ratings at all. Nina had a 35-point lead. She was running against the Lilliputians. Chantel Brown puts a statement on her website saying how much she loves Israel. Boom, $4 million appears. All in favor of Chantel Brown, all against Nina Turner. That's her raising her hand saying, I will work for Israel.
And what happened?
I would really like to get money out of politics completely. That's one of the things that I intend to push for once Trump is out of office. I want to expand the Supreme Court. And there's a logical reason for this, too. Hang on. Wait, let me look something up. There used to be the same number of Supreme Court justices as there were circuit courts. And then they kind of broke from that standard. And now we have 13 circuit courts. We have 13 circuit courts. We should have 13 Supreme Court justices, right? One of the things I intend to push for is to pack the Supreme Court and send these cases back through the Supreme Court after it's been packed. After we have 13, we can override the will of Brett Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and the other nutcases. And we can take the president's complete immunity away again. We can get money out of politics by reversing Citizens United. We need to reverse all of this terrible fucking stuff that the Supreme Court decided to do. Absolutely awful, all of it. And Kavanaugh stops. You guys heard of this? Kavanaugh stops? Brett Kavanaugh wrote the opinion on a court case that basically allows ICE to do racial profiling. They see somebody with darker skin, they are now legally allowed to stop them and check their ID because they have a different skin color. That is directly against the Constitution. That is directly in opposition to what we are built on, what our values are. That shit's got to go back through the Supreme Court. I'm done with this shit.
In the end.
So they erased a 35-point lead. They bought every ad in Cleveland. And most importantly, they got mainstream media to say, now remember, Nina Turner hates Joe Biden, so she loves Donald Trump. Now, that's Cleveland voters. They don't want that, right? Now, is that true? No. She has said a statement that voting for Biden is like eating a half bowl of shit. But, okay, but she said, but voting for Trump is like eating a full bowl of shit. So what am I going to do? I'll eat the half, right? They never, ever put the second half of the statement in. They just said
I have no idea what he's referring to right now, but okay.
Every news story, whether it's on TV or in the newspapers, Nina Turner says voting for Biden is eating a half bowl of shit. She's so a Trump favorite. But how could she be pro-Trump? The rest of the sentence says he's twice as bad.
Well, okay. This sounds like a Jimmy Dore thing. I don't know. I didn't hear it, but when Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore used to be on the left, kind of. He used to pretend to be, at least. Until one day he just started talking nonstop shit about the left and nobody else. And started endorsing like right-wing people, saying that they would be better. Before long, he's indistinguishable from the right. He is a right-winger now, Jimmy Dore is. That's how the shift starts. That's how the shift started for Dave Rubin as well. If people are only ever really talking about how bad the left is and never talking about how bad the right is, it's kind of an indication of where they stand, right? Like people who talk shit about Chuck Schumer nonstop. Yes, Chuck Schumer sucks. I don't like him either. He's the most uncharismatic person on planet Earth. But I don't give a fuck about Chuck Schumer. He's worthless, and he has no power right now. Why are you not talking about the people who actually have power, who are ruining people's lives? Like, for example, Donald fucking Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene is out of power now, so I guess she's out, but she was insufferable and caused untold amounts of damage, like when she was in power. Why aren't you talking about, any of the other people on the right? It's always about the left with people like this. Is that what happened with Nina Turner? I don't know. I don't actually have any clue, what was happening with that.
So people in mainstream media are giant liars. They've lied about me all the time. They lie about Republicans, Democrats, but mainly they lie to protect the donor class. So then, again, back to Israel, and because it's such a perfect symbol, 94% of Congress. It's not 34%. You add 34%, you can say, yeah, they have a lot of control. That's a lot of money that they're giving to a third of our Congress. At 64%, you'd say, come on, they have enormous power, if not control. At 94%, it's clearly control. Further part of that Guardian story is 82% of Congress votes basically with Israel every single time. That 82% on average gets 100, just in that last election cycle, let alone all the other ones, $125,000 per member of Congress. Now, establishment media says that's not a bribe. They're just talking to one another. Oh, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, free speech. That's Citizens United. That was a Supreme Court case that involved Hillary Clinton, of all people. In 2009, they decided that money is a form of speech, so people can give as much money as they want to politicians because that's their speech. It's complete bullshit and infuriating.
Here's $125,000 so you'll vote for Israel. But it's not so you'll vote for Israel. It's so you can have a better debate or whatever. And they're like, of course, that's not a bribe, and they don't control those members. Well, how come they vote with Israel every single time? Why don't you follow the money? I thought the old adage of journalism was follow the money. And every time we ask you to follow the money, you call us an anti-Semite. That's really, really weird.
Again, like, I think Israel is deeply problematic and needs to be addressed desperately. But Cenk Uygur is turning into an actual anti-Semite.
That's a super weird thing to do. Again, Mad Lib, fill in any other country. Imagine that Bulgaria was giving to 94% of Congress.
Or Great Britain or Sweden.
Or any country.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And you said, well, it seems like the Bulgarians have 94% of our Congress locked up. How dare you, anti-Bulgarian racist, you Bulgarist? Right? It would be absurd. It would be absurd. So, of course, you have to point this out.
Anti-Bulgamite would be the right word, I suspect.
So, and what have they gotten in return for the hundreds of millions that AIPAC and other Israeli lobby organizations have put into Congress? At this point, they've probably put in over $1 billion collectively over all those years. So, well, what they've gotten back is over $300 billion in funding through the lifetime of Israel, adjusted for inflation. That's before October 7th. October 7th, we add that 21.7. You could argue 10 or 12 billion more for the wars we're fighting for them. Those are not free. Every time we drop a bomb on Iran or Yemen or Nigeria, it costs us money.
Or Iraq.
Or Iraq.
That's why we did that.
Yeah. But look, if you...
That's why we did that? Okay.
Get into that, the global war on terror, which is, if we're being honest, the global war against Israel's enemies, costs us $8 trillion.
Right.
So Israel's lucky if we don't count.
Shit. Is that it? 8 trillion? I'm pretty sure it's more than that. And you know what's really wild about that? I think the Iraq war cost us $8 trillion, actually. The Iraq war alone. Do you know how much it would cost to outfit the entire United States in renewable energy? Completely get off of fossil fuels, completely get off of natural gas and everything. Go full wind turbine, geothermal energy, hydroelectric dams, fully renewable. 6 trillion is what it would cost us. 6 trillion. It would cost about 30 trillion to do it for the entire world. And our debt is about 38 trillion right now, if I'm not mistaken. Instead, we are bombing brown children in the Middle East with that money.
Not that 8 trillion.
It's why we're bankrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are at 38 trillion. And Tucker, that's the other amazing part. So now in the last 2 weeks, Trump gave another 8.6 billion, totally unaccounted. Where's that 8.6 billion coming from? Did anybody ever vote for that 8.6 billion? And then unabated, he gave another 3.3 billion. Where is this money coming from? Is anybody voting on this? What is going on? And
well, it's
whenever you
debt. These are IOUs to countries that are buying our treasuries.
Exactly. So that's the next layer of it. So you're telling us we have to borrow money from China and Japan so we can give money for free to Israel. And then we pay the interest for the rest of our lives.
I'm sorry. We're not really borrowing that much from like China and whoever else, actually. Most of the money that we're borrowing is being borrowed from ourselves. The Federal Reserve is an independent entity, and they can like mint money anytime they want, basically. They can just move the decimal over on their account anytime they want, and then give that, you know, that money that they move the decimal point over, they give it to the United States. in the form of a loan. That's how it works. And we pay back that loan, of course. The point is we owe it to ourselves. We don't owe it to China. I think like, what is it? 1 to 3% is owned by China or whatever, but China wouldn't pull that money back because it would be like they would be giving up free interest that they're getting from that. Like they bought that debt from the Federal Reserve because it's beneficial. They will get money from the interest. If they wanted that debt paid back, they would just sell the debt back to the Federal Reserve, basically. That's it. So people fearmonger about this a lot, and they don't really know what's going on exactly.
And they don't pay any interest. Well, why don't they borrow it from China and Japan?
Exactly.
Why are we borrowing it and give it to them?
We're excited to tell you about a new project.
No, thank you, good sir. Oh my God, he's advertising Melania's film. Hey, I wonder, I haven't seen Melania's documentary. If anybody else has seen it, did they put in that she met Donald Trump through Epstein? I believe that was revealed in the most recent dump. That they, basically that she, as far as I can tell, was one of Epstein's trafficking victims. Again, don't sue me. This is just my understanding of the situation. I wonder if they put that in the documentary. Anybody have any idea if that made it in? That made the cut?
30th. And but can I ask you a question that really bothers me? Why don't people who support Israel or any foreign cause pay for the cause themselves? Like there are a lot of very rich people. I know some, I like some who are.
You think people aren't donating to Israel? Are you fucking kidding me right now? What are you smoking, Tucker?
Or, you know, profoundly pro-Israel and really think about it a lot, care about it a lot, have friends and family that are great. Why don't they, and some of these people are worth billions and billions and billions, why do taxpayers have to pay for this? Why don't they just donate the money to
They do.
Israel? I never have understood that, and no one will answer that question.
No one will answer. Yeah, because he's asking this question of people, and they just sit there with a completely blank face because they don't actually have an answer, right? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You pose this question to people seriously?
Because of leverage and economies of scale. So let's take Larry Ellison as an example. So to be fair to Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, he actually did the thing that you say.
Yeah, like what? What are you talking about?
He gave $16 million to the IDF in the middle of the genocide as a donation.
Well, how
charity.
about $5 billion? I mean, that's $16 million for, it's not much actually.
Yeah, so I'm going to get back to that. So he's like, hey, genocide, well done. Keep genociding. Here's 16 million more. It's an outrageous thing to do. But okay, you love Israel. You love that they're committing a genocide against Palestinians. You despise Palestinians. You're deeply racist and you're a bigot against Muslims. That's your business, Larry Ellison. Okay. So, but now he thinks, wait a minute. What if I give to American politicians and then instead of me giving the 5 billion or the 50 billion, we get the sucker American taxpayers to give it. Right. So now how can I do that? It's actually simple.
It's so dishonorable that I can't really even fit that in my head.
To folks,
I don't force other people to pay for charities I support.
God, he is so insufferable, dude. Tucker is so dishonest about every fucking thing he says.
I mean, I support them because I support them. I mean, that's what integrity is. I can't imagine sticking a gun in someone's face and say you have to donate to my charity.
Yeah. So in this case, not.
Sorry, that's not what's happening. People are not sticking a gun in your face and telling you to donate to a charity. Please.
The charity, it said.
No, but
that's not, I'm sorry. The point that he's making is that that's what taxes are. People sticking a gun in your face and forcing you to pay taxes. In the strictest sense, I suppose that's kind of what's happening. Because if you don't pay into this society that we live in, then you don't, you get in trouble. You can't just not contribute to society. But that's an absurd way to frame it, honestly.
You believe in, okay.
Yeah. So then Dropsite News has done some terrific reporting, and they found emails of Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, and others.
Can I say it? Dropsite News has done some amazing reporting.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's
I'm not familiar with who that Dropsite News. Let me just look this up. Hang on. No need to wonder. Just loaded up our question gun. Let's go answer hunting. Give me a second here. See if we can get some answers to our questions. If Tucker is endorsing it, then I do not trust it. Dropsite News, a nonprofit investigative news outlet founded by Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill in July 2024. Based in Washington, D.C., it describes itself as non-aligned and anti-establishment. Jeremy Scahill has reported from war and conflict zones around the world, including Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, Somalia, and the former Yugoslavia. They're decidedly left-wing. That's weird. Maybe it's because of how they cover Epstein's ties to Israeli intelligence. Weird. All right.
Believable.
And in fact, the way that establishment media is not covering their stories shows you what a joke it is.
Dropsite News breaks more story. I didn't really wasn't really sure what it was until recently. They're breaking more stories than the New York Times, Washington Post put together by far.
Yeah, it's not an accident. That's because they're trying to break stories. And
Yes,
the New York
they are.
Times is trying to do the opposite. And
Yeah.
the Epstein stories are amazing, and we should get back
They're
to that.
unbelievable.
Oh, shit. I wonder how Tucker Carlson feels about Epstein. Is he one of the defenders? This came out January 30th, 2026. This is, I believe, after the Epstein stuff dropped.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say that.
No, absolutely. So Dropsite News found emails of Larry Ellison talking to the Israeli ambassador. And he says, this is back in 2015, 2016, that campaign. And he says, I'm going to go vet Marco Rubio for Israel. Now, remember, Larry Ellison's ostensibly an American, okay? But he doesn't, he's talking to the Israeli ambassador and says, I'm going to make sure Marco Rubio is on Israel's side. Then he goes and talks to him at a party.
Larry Ellison's a monster, dude. And his son, David, I think, David Ellison, is a monster as well. And they now run TikTok. They run the TikTok algorithm. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but TikTok has basically completely killed any discussion about ICE at all at this moment. You post and you get basically 0 views.
He comes back and then reports back to the Israeli ambassador. Don't worry, he's on our side. I'm giving him $5 million for his super PAC. By the way, at that time, that's against Donald Trump. Okay, so that's Larry Ellison saying, I'm basically buying Marco Rubio on behalf of Israel. So that doesn't even go to Marco Rubio's AIPAC tracker. On an AIPAC tracker, he's over $1 million from the Israeli lobby, but they've got all this secret money and their super PACs and all the other things that they have. And in that case, he's caught because we have his emails. So don't tell me he's not working for the Israelis when we have emails showing he works for the Israelis. And
did somebody say that David Ellison or Larry Ellison are not involved with Israel? Who the fuck would have said that? He's pretty open about that. He doesn't even try to hide it. That's like saying Miriam Adelson isn't like working for Israel. Everyone knows that.
then what is the consequence of that? Hey, look at that. Marco Rubio's Secretary of State. And now we're going to war against Iran, maybe Venezuela. We're doing everything that Israel wants. And so that's a nice break they caught. What a coincidence. And by the way, this is not a partisan issue. You had Obama's former speechwriter go out the other day and say, we probably overtaught the Holocaust to our kids. Okay. This woman, I think Sarah Hurwitz, but if I've got the name wrong.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's off the top of my head of who she is. But she, Obama's speechwriter, and she says we taught them the Nazis were strong and oppressed the weak, but now Israel is strong and targeting the weak. So we shouldn't teach that anymore. I'm like, do you hear yourself? Do you hear what you're saying? And then at Free Press, somebody wrote an article about, oh, our kids, they're against genocide now. What did we do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You taught them a wonderful thing. You taught them Jewish culture. Never again stick up for the underdog, question authority.
You can't murder innocents. I mean, that.
Dude, I love that Tucker Carlson, of all people, is arguing this. This is absurd.
That's like a baseline. You can't murder people who didn't do anything wrong because it is murder. There's no justification for killing innocent people ever.
So
please, Tucker Carlson is one of those people who I believe, is a monster, a fucking evil monster. Like, about as evil as they come. And pretty much everything that he says and does is calculated to benefit himself in some very specific way.
If you think about it, let's just take the Marco Rubio example. And I'm not putting it all on Rubio. It's a giant institution and infrastructure. And like I said, it's 94% of Congress, right? But you put in $5 million to Marco Rubio. A decade later, he's Secretary of State. And in the middle of your genocide, you got $21.7 billion. Now, if you're Larry Ellison, do you want to put in the $21 billion yourself? Or do you want to put in $5 million to a politician and then you get the $21 billion for free?
The problem is that it treats the people who are giving the money against their will. There's never been a vote on this. It would, if there was.
Oh my God. It drives me nuts when I hear people talk about how taxes are taking away your free will, or it's like taxes is like slavery or whatever. It's sovereign citizen bullshit. Okay. We live in a society. We have to be able to vote on things. I'm sorry. We have to pay taxes. That's the bottom line. I know you don't like that, but it is what it is, okay? We argue about what we should be putting our taxes toward, but it's not slavery.
There was a national referendum on should we be sending tens of billions of dollars to a country.
Well, that's not how our democracy works. National referendums, you can't govern that way. Again, I don't want money going to Israel. Israel is fucking evil, okay? This is not okay in any way. And I want to cut funding to Israel desperately. Like, do just about anything for it. But we live in a society and we have to work within the bounds of that society. That's just what it is.
Not our own, of course, it would fail immediately. But it treats those people very badly, as kind of subhuman. Like, who cares what they think? We're just going to take their money, indebt their children onto the generations.
Okay. This is sovereign citizen bullshit. Sorry that you don't like paying taxes, Tucker, but, you know,
and
go fuck yourself.
It's just the contempt that displays for Americans is unsettling to me.
He is such a fucking joke, dude. The contempt. Suddenly he's a warrior on our behalf. He's fighting for us.
So I have a proposal on that, Tucker. So why don't we do a poll? And I challenge CNN, New York Times, Gallup, anyone to do this poll. And if none of them accept the challenge, then we'll do the poll. We'll commission the poll, and then we'll see. And then they could verify it if they like. And the poll is, does America owe Israel any more money? Because every pundit on television say, we owe Israel. We owe Israel. They never explain why, right?
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say we owe Israel. Has anyone ever said we owe Israel? I hear people all the time say we have to protect Israel. But this is new to me, actually.
People really say that?
All the time.
No, nobody says that. Like, even Tucker is calling him on this stupid shit.
They say, okay, what do you mean, $300 billion? You owed Israel. Of course you should pay him $300 billion. Why did I pay them $21 or $31 billion in the middle of a genocide? You owe Israel. Why do I owe Israel? No one ever explains. No one ever explains.
They actually, I've never heard that.
No, they don't say that. That's completely made up.
Actually say that out loud? We owe them?
Of course.
No.
Of course.
For what? Where's the debt from?
Yeah, and so
he's acting like Tucker is validating what he just said when Tucker seems to have been asking him, what are you talking about? What do you mean people say? Like, what would anybody mean if they said we owe Israel? And Cenk is just like, yeah, exactly. What do they mean? What a fucking joke, dude.
And when I press on every one of these talking points. That's part of why they despise me, right? And I say, okay, help me understand that. Why would we owe Israel? Well, they suffered a Holocaust, the Jewish people. Well, first of all, the Jewish people did, not Israel, right? That's different. Okay, but wait, we rescued them from the Holocaust.
And all those Americans died. A lot of them, hundreds of thousands of Americans died fighting that war.
If we
is that bad in Tucker's mind? Does he think that we shouldn't have fought in World War II?
Rescued them from the Holocaust. Why do we owe them money? It's like none of these talking points make any sense. It
feels like they're just It feels like they're just yanking each other off right now. Like none of this is true. None of this is said by people. Nobody ever says we owe Israel or whatever other nonsense. This is all fabricated garbage.
All you do is, just prick the bubble and people instantly go, oh, wait a minute, lift the curtain. So here, we rescue.
But they'll actually say that?
No, they don't.
Yeah. So the Bosnians, right, for example, right, we rescued them from a genocide from the Serbs, right? And I'm proud of that. And I think we did, saved tons and tons of lives. And you can say, maybe we shouldn't have interfered. Maybe we should be more isolationist. It's a good debate, but at least we did something demonstrably good there. Okay.
This is something that really bothers me, dude. Like, especially when it happens ostensibly on my side. When somebody blatantly bald-faced lies, it bothers me so fucking much. Cenk is flat out, knowingly, intentionally lying here, in my opinion. He knows full well. Nobody ever says we owe Israel.
Okay. Did the Bosnians, after we rescued them from the genocide, come and to say to us, you owe us? No, they said thank you. You, by the way, you won't find anyone on this planet who loves Americans more than Bosnians. Okay. And so they love America. They appreciate America. Poland lost 5 million people in the Holocaust, 1.8 million non-Jews, 3 million Jews. So after the Holocaust, Poland could have said, you owe us. No, we saved Poland. Russia saved Poland. We saved Jews. Russia saved Jews. By the way, did Russia ever get a thank you after losing, 20 million or so people in the war, right? Instead, now Israel's constantly attacking Russia. I got no love for Russia. I think Putin is wrong. I don't think he should have invaded Ukraine. But wait a minute. Why does anybody owe Israel for anything? It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. So now they want a new memorandum of understanding.
I'm surprised Cenk got so much pushback in the first place from Tucker on this, who says Israel is owed anything by the U.S.
Going to try to make it 20 years?
Yeah, Nerical says a verbal circle jerk. That sounds right.
And partly because of you and us and all the people that are going, wait, why? That a memorandum of understanding is the president saying, we owe you for the next 10 years, 20 years, et cetera.
And that's an agreement between the United States and Israel.
Yes. So, for example, Obama signed a 10-year memorandum of understanding saying we owe Israel $3.8 billion every year for 10 years.
I've never heard that before. We owe Israel? Obama signed a memorandum saying that we owe Israel? That does not sound right to me.
So no votes on it during that period.
The only votes you get...
Yeah, you did get a vote. It was for the president of the United States, and he is doing things in your name after being voted in. That's called representative democracy. Love it or hate it, the guy was voted in. I hate that he made those decisions, but that's what happened,
Is it gets put automatically into the budget every year, and once it gets put in, you have to actively take it out. But if you have to go to take it out, they'll call you an anti-Semite and try to ruin your career. I have amazing stories about that. Marie Newman, a U.S. Congresswoman, voted against one of the appropriations that Israel got. 4 Democratic colleagues come on the floor of the House and say, how dare you? How dare you vote against Israel? We're going to take away all your money.
They're a little, they're a little crazy. I will give them that people are kind of nuts over Israel, and it's a problem. Absolutely. But I feel like he's just making things up right now.
Actually?
Yes, you could ask Marie Newman about it. She said it on the Young Turks. This happened just a couple of years ago.
I'm sorry. I don't believe a word out of his mouth anymore after listening to him flat out lie that way.
Okay, she was in Congress from Illinois. They said, we're going to take away all your money and we're going to spend a ton of money against you.
Her own party?
Yeah, her own party. And that's what happened. They spent about $4 million against her, eliminated.
I don't believe him. And it's clear Tucker doesn't either.
No way.
All right, hang on. Let me just listen one more time and we'll look this up.
This happened just a couple of years ago. Okay, she was in Congress. Marie Newman about it. She said it on the Young Turks. This happened just a couple of years. How dare you vote against Israel? We're going to take away all your money,
Actually?
Yes, you could ask Marie Nobin
When did
about it.
this
She said it
happen?
on the Young Turks. This happened just a couple of years ago. Okay, she was in Congress from Illinois. They said, we're going to take away all your money and we're going to spend a ton of money.
Hold on. Let me one more time.
Against one of the appropriations that Israel got. U.S. Congresswoman. I have amazing stories about that. Marie Newman, a U.S. Congresswoman, voted against one of the appropriations that Israel got. 4 Democratic colleagues come on the floor of the House and say, how dare you? How dare you vote against Israel? We're going to take away all your money.
Actually?
Yes, you could ask Marie Nobin
When did
about it.
this
She said
happen?
it on the Young Turks. This happened just a couple of years ago. Okay, she was in Congress from Illinois. They said, we're going to take away all your money and we're going to spend a ton of money against you.
Her own party?
Yeah, her own party. And that's what happened. They spent about $4 million against her, eliminated.
Let's find out. I just wrote it down. See if we can get an answer on this, an actual answer.
Nope.
Okay, Newman was one of 8 Democrats to vote against the funding of the Iron Dome in Israel in September 2021. After that vote, Democratic Majority for Israel, DMFI, spent $450,000 on the race against her. Other sources say $540,000, apparently. The lobbying group and another pro-Israel group, Democratic Majority for Israel, defeated Representatives Andy Levin and Marie Newman, who we're talking about here, who were outspoken in their criticism of unconditional U.S. military aid, or military funding, for Israel. She ultimately lost her 2022 primary to Sean Casten. The claim that 4 Democratic colleagues came to the floor of the House and said, how dare you? That's nonsense. That's completely made up. But the Democratic Party does have positions. And one of those positions has consistently been support for Israel. And if you vote against the interests of the party, then you don't get the support of the party. I agree with Marie Newman that you shouldn't support that. But there's nothing surprising about this. Like, Tucker Carlson is acting as though he's completely blown away by this. This is literally how our political system has always worked. So I'm not sure what he's surprised by here.
Way.
Andy Levin, a Jewish American congressman from Michigan, kind of a legendary Jewish family in Michigan.
Yeah.
Carl Levin was a senator.
Yeah, Sandra Levin, yeah.
Yeah. Andy Levin says 2-state solution. He says, I love Israel. I'm a Zionist. Okay.
No 2-state solution. 1-state solution, and it's democratically run. I won't accept an apartheid state as an answer, which is what a 2-state solution would necessitate.
But obviously we should have a free and independent Israel and a free and independent Palestine. $4 million against Andy Levin, eliminated.
No way.
Eliminated. Jamal Bowman, you think it was about the fire alarm? Hey, you might be upset about the fire alarm or whatever else Jamal Bowman did. The Israeli lobby spent $19 million eliminating Jamal.
Forgot about that. Years ago, there was, I don't remember, it was a very important vote in Congress. I don't remember what it was about. And he opened a door to leave the House floor, and it basically was a fire exit, and it set off an alarm when he walked out. And he claimed that he didn't realize that was a fire exit, and I don't think I have any reason to doubt that. I'm okay with that explanation, but tentatively. But anyway, MAGA freaked out and said that he did it on purpose because you know all their shit.
Bowman. Cori Bush, eliminated. Okay. Anyone who opposes Israel is eliminated.
This year marks the 250th.
Anyway, Jesus Christ, dude. These people are absolutely insane. I'm sad to say Cenk Uygur is completely off the rails. This was one of his more milder kind of takes, but if I were him, I wouldn't be going around to Tucker Carlson. That's just not good. That's not a good look. Tucker Carlson is a literal neo-Nazi, and it's unforgivable to go on there. After he had Nick Fuentes on, we should be icing him out of the movement completely, not cozying up to him. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you guys on Wednesday, okay? All right, have a good one, everybody.